Where's your knitting?
Downstairs.
Why didn't you bring your knitting?
Because I forgot it. And I've got a broken leg, and the thought of going downstairs and upstairs again and across the lounge to go and get it, it's just like, no, can't be arsed. If you want me to knit, go and get the knitting. But I'm not going because my leg hurts.
All right. Ready?
Yep.
What? This is the this is the story of a man from New Zealand and a woman from England who are stuck in lockdown in the city of London. This is Stuck in Here with You.
And we're still stuck.
Yeah.
In here with each other.
Yeah. This is day 3 in review. And I'm kind of proud of myself today because in regards of this podcast, I managed to do quite a few of the little technical things in the background to actually make it go.
Yeah.
And make it available to the great wide world.
Yep.
And, it's on Spotify now.
Ooh.
Like, that feels like an achievement.
Yeah.
Like, nobody's going to listen to it, but it's on Spotify.
If they stumbled across it and wanted to listen to it, then yeah, they could.
Yeah. And our friend Haney from Finland made us a lovely logo.
She did. It's really good.
So
really, really good.
So
you should definitely plug her name.
Haney.
Yeah.
Hallinan.
Okay. So, if somebody stumbles across it and thinks, oh, yeah, that is a nice logo, they could get in touch with her.
Well, she is skilled.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's in lockdown like the rest of us.
Yeah.
Except she's in Finland. But
do you know how they're dealing with the whole that situation? In
Finland, I think it's much the same as the rest of Europe. Like, they've got a certain number of cases and it's getting out. But I think, like much of Scandinavia, their sort of social system that's sort of set up to support people is more robust than perhaps ours is.
Because they have a universal income, don't they? Or has that stopped again?
No, they don't have a universal income, but they do have a good
social... They did for a while, didn't they? Did
they
pilot it?
Yeah, they did do a pilot. I think it was like 2,000 people.
Oh, okay. I thought it was cross-country.
Yeah, and but I mean, their social welfare system is much more robust than a lot of other places around the world.
Yeah, they have zero homelessness and stuff.
In Finland, anyway, yeah. It's not to say that some things aren't expensive in Scandinavia, but I just think it's a priority thing when it comes to the way that they govern their countries and the things that they look out for. So when it comes to things like health and education and not wanting the students to be burdened with the student loans or massive student loans anyway. So I think it's just a different way to do society, a different way to do the economics of the system we currently have in place. And I think they do it very well. It's one of my favourite parts of the world. In fact, strangely enough, because I've spent quite a bit of time in Finland, it actually feels more like home there than the UK does.
Really?
Yeah. I feel more comfortable and more at home in Finland than I do in the UK.
Yeah.
And if Brexit hadn't happened, my plan B, if everything went to shit, maybe not like it's going to shit right now, but on a personal level, if everything in my life went to shit and not totally to shit for everybody in the whole world, then I was definitely going to be considering a move to either Sweden or Finland, even Estonia. I really liked Estonia, but I was thinking about going back to study again. Perhaps a change of career is in order.
Yeah.
So I'd been heavily considering those sorts of things, but of course Brexit went through and they kind of shut the gate on that one. So I do hold 2 passports. I've got a New Zealand passport and a UK passport, but my UK passport a lot less useful than it used to be.
Well, it still gets you out of New Zealand.
Gets me out of New Zealand. New Zealand
to here,
is lovely.
I mean, yes,
yeah. I can live and work here, and I am grateful.
Good.
But it does suck when you could have,
could have been anywhere in Europe.
Yeah, lived and worked in 28 other countries or whatever it is, and never mind. But yeah, really cool to see our podcast show up on Spotify, just to see the little logo and the little episodes just be there. Yeah. It just gave me a warm, fuzzy feeling.
No.
Because, I mean, if we're honest about what we're doing, we're really just adding some routine to our day.
We are.
We are setting aside a couple of hours a day to do a thing that we wouldn't otherwise be doing, other than feeding our faces and watching television.
Yeah, that's it. When Shakespeare went into lockdown for the plague, he wrote King Lear, we're doing this.
Didn't he write Richard III?
I thought it was King Lear.
No, I don't know.
I don't know. I'm only going by what I read somewhere in a social media post, but I think it was King Lear.
Because I do have intentions of doing other creative things while we're in lockdown.
Yeah.
You know, I obviously play the ukulele. I would love to write a little bit more on there. I've got some other creative works that I'd really like to get done. It's just
all finished that you started a decade ago.
Well, or last year or the year before last.
Yeah.
But it would be great to knock those off. It's just that I don't trust myself to sit down and work on those day in, day out.
You do not?
No, it's good to have something like this where it's just something that we do every day, which is a routine that we can lock into, and then I can work around that.
Oh, okay.
I think it's far more likely that if we come in and sit down and do this on an absolute daily basis, you know, I won't fly off into some outer space world where I'm just zombieing around the house. Like, I think back to times in my life when I've been really unwell or unemployed for long periods, and sort of who I became during those times. I don't really want that to happen again.
No, neither do I.
But if it does...
Murder Day might move up.
Yeah, but if it does happen, we'll be documenting it here.
Yeah.
So you get to hear that sort of slide
One
into...
woman's slow journey through the... watching a kiwi slide into the abyss of not washing and other symptoms of depression.
Hey, I washed yesterday.
You did.
I might.
Everybody noticed.
I might even wash today.
What? Yeah.
Yep.
Might do.
Could happen.
Could.
But speaking of work,
how'd you get from washing to work?
No, I segued. It's a clear segue. We were just talking
about washing,
about being unemployed.
Doesn't work
for
in
a
a car
period.
wash.
Oh, for God's sake! I'm moving into work.
Okay.
Because
we had another decision today about work.
Well, I had to think long and hard about it.
Yeah.
You know, for all the right reasons. I mean, I'm freelance. The government system isn't going to support me, or it isn't yet. You know, I heard rumours that there might be an announcement later this week. Whether it's as generous as the plan they've got going in
for employees,
is something we should discuss that actually. So I think what I heard was happening in Finland. Was that there's basically going to be not in name a universal basic income, but a payment of, I think it's €700 a month.
Okay.
For everyone or anyone who needs it. I think that's what's happening, but we can always double check that.
Yep.
Make a note of it.
There was something else we were going to fact check, and I can't remember what it was.
Probably everything.
It was how quickly the numbers are doubling.
Yes.
Yes.
And we haven't?
We haven't.
Right. And in New Zealand, I believe there's a payment system where they're getting 585 New Zealand dollars a week, which is pretty generous. It's definitely one of the more generous ones.
Yeah.
And then in the UK, they're guaranteeing all full-time employed people up to 80% of their salary.
No.
Up to a cap of £2,500.
That's not money that's going to employees. That's going to employers.
To give to employees? Or do they just scrape it?
Well, that's the thing. So employers will receive 80% of all their payroll staff's salary. But I don't know if it's universal, or if people have to ask for it, if people have to put their hands up and say, we're going to struggle to pay people unless you give us this money.
But it's the employer that has to apply, it's not anybody else.
Yeah, it's not an individual. And they will get 80%. The expectation is that they pass on at least that 80%, and if they can, top it up to 100%. Whether or not they will, I don't know. Yeah,
that's right. So the government's going to basically supply 80% of someone's salary up to a cap of £2,500 a month, which is very generous. And then
it's the median, apparently.
And then
80% of the median.
Right. And then the employer has the option to top that up further if they so wish. But it is quite a generous package. You know, if I was getting £2,500 a month, that takes care of bills and rent and everything else, So, so not too bad. But of course, I'm freelance. A lot of people in the UK are freelance. An awful lot of people in the UK are part of the, put it in quotation marks, gig economy.
Yeah, 0 hours contracts.
0 hour contracts. Like, I'm pretty sure 0 hour contracts are illegal in New Zealand, but they're certainly rife here. If you work at a McDonald's or so many different places, they're just 0 hour contracts. And it's really, really harsh. We're talking about millions and millions of people. And so currently the government support package that has been put through doesn't support any of those people. Doesn't support me, doesn't support them.
No, that's not quite right. It will support people as long as they don't have any money in savings. I think if you've got £16,000 in savings, you can't get anything.
No, but
if you have less than £16,000, then you can apply for employment support allowance.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it? But it's a different system. It's not the support system that they've put in place for people who are gainfully employed. It's the support system that is built around the people social welfare system. That's right. Yeah. So I think I would be eligible for £90 a week for being sick. Essentially, that's the payment. Yeah. I'm sick. You can have £90 a week. It's definitely not going to cover the rent or bills or almost anything else. It's a horrifically low sum of money. And then they're saying, well, you can apply for universal credit, get other payments. But again, it's a minefield, absolute minefield. And people who are self-employed, the criteria is
you have to have been paying national insurance for at least 3 years.
Yeah, but the whole thing is just the whole process. You hear it again and again and again. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. And of course, if you're freelance and any work does come up, like it has for me tomorrow, then what happens? You take that 1 day of work, and it screws up the whole system. There's so many uncertainties.
I don't know.
But we should point out that after some discussion and thought, I have decided to go to work tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I can tell you I'm bricking it. I am bricking it. I don't want to go. I feel genuinely sick about the whole idea. But I kind of want to get a lay of the land. I want to see if there's been any changes in the workplace.
Yeah, see if they've upped the cleanliness and blah blah blah.
I mean, they've given us a lot of assurances, but I just I want to see firsthand what the situation is, whether or not any of the people I work with are taking measures on a personal level to avoid contact and touching surfaces. There seems to be an increased risk around metal surfaces. I work around a lot of metal surfaces. That is a huge concern for me.
Yeah. But you're being sensible. You're taking wipes. You're taking your hand gel, antibacterial wipes and hand gel. You're taking a packed lunch, so you don't have to go out at lunchtime.
Well, I mean, this is the thing, isn't it? I mean,
you're minimising the risk.
Normally, I do buy my lunch. There's lots of really good sort of £3 lunch options.
Yep.
There's also a couple of dainty little M&S Express places where I could get a sandwich, that sort of thing for lunch. So those are normally all around the building where I work, and I expect are not going to be open. So I will not be able to buy my lunch as I normally do. I also usually buy dinner because I work a 12-hour shift. So we'll be there for 12 hours. And so having to plan ahead and actually take lunch in, which isn't a bad thing, but it's not anything that I had thought about or considered when we were buying groceries, or I would have bought some different groceries.
Yeah, but I mean, I've
just didn't enter my head.
Yeah, no, I mean, you certainly won't struggle to take stuff in. We've got snacks that are little packets of things, fresh fruit that you can take in. I was just thinking actually while you were talking that I could do some pasta and stir through some pesto, so you've got a pasta salad thing as well as your sandwiches.
Not the biggest fan of pesto.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I remember you saying tomatoes. You like tomatoes. I've got fresh tomatoes. I could chop some fresh tomatoes up. You've got mozzarella. That might be nice.
Like very nice of you to be thinking about making me a lunch. Very kind, very considerate. I should also point out that you've been doing basically all the cooking while I've been here as well.
Yeah.
And we have been living largely vegetarian until this evening when you relented and got a couple of sausages.
Yeah.
And just thank you so much.
Really, the Chinese takeaway wasn't vegetarian.
Really perked me up. Yeah, but that was several days ago.
2 days ago. Yesterday was a veggie day.
No, you're losing track of time. You're in a time warp. That was days and days ago.
I'll add it to my notes. Which days have been meaty days and which days have been vegetarian.
Yeah. Well, we should run through what we did eat today. I had hot cross buns for breakfast because we managed to get those in the shop, and I thought, well, it's better to have them while they're fresh before they go off. What was for lunch?
Apple pie. We finished off the apple pie.
Yeah, you made apple pie the other night, so we had the leftover.
Warm apple pie with ice cream. A la mode.
Yeah. Kind of weird caramelly ice cream, though. Like,
yeah,
it was a bit strange.
Ice cream was vegan.
It was a bit strange.
It was vegan.
Yeah.
It was nice though, wasn't it?
I should have guessed. Well, you see, New Zealand's one of the biggest ice cream, creating and consuming countries in the world. We eat more ice cream per head of population than anywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I sent you some photos from the last time I was back in New Zealand. Just the huge...
You can add it to Twitter.
A huge line of fridges.
Follow us on Twitter.
All of them.
If you're listening.
Why should they?
So they can see the pictures of what we're talking about.
We haven't posted anything.
No. Well, I don't know what the password is.
There's links to the podcast that they're already listening to. It will be a very sad time if they're going to the Twitter page.
No, we said that we would put up some pictures.
Man, this is a hollow journey.
We should share pictures of the dogs. And the ice cream picture.
Is that what you're going to turn it into? I'm just going to give you the password. You can just take photos of whatever you want. I don't care.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, it's a life on the inside, isn't it? So you show them. I genuinely don't give a shit. So, and what do we have for dinner? We had
dinner tonight.
Yeah. Well, we're just running through what we ate today.
Yes, we had pork and apple sausages. Tesco's finest pork and apple sausages, which are my favourites. I did, relent on the whole not eating animals thing, and I thought, well, if I'm going to go out off my track, I'll go back to a solid favourite, Tesco's Tesco's finest pork and apple sausages, which are also gluten free.
Yeah, see, I don't eat pork generally or ever, so change of pace for me.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you get sausages that aren't pork?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, that didn't enter my head to buy them because I wanted the pork and apple ones.
It's all right. I ate them. I appreciated it.
Good.
Protein.
And we had, I'm not quite sure how you say it, parmentier potatoes, like diced into cubes potatoes that were roasted. Because we were only cooking sausages and not a joint, so I didn't want the oven on for too long. And we had veg. Well, I had veg. Some wanker dipped out of the vegetables, didn't you?
I ate all of my carrot and I ate all of my corn.
Yes.
And I just happen to not like broccoli very much. I'm not alone in this.
You're the only grown adult I've ever met who has refused to eat broccoli because they don't like it.
The entire Brachia family actually is at odds with me. Yeah. So not a fan.
Yeah.
But
that's a shame because the frozen veg I've got in the freezer is
it's chock full of broccoli. I bet
I've got broccoli.
A lot of people really like broccoli.
No, I don't think I've got broccoli on its own. I've got broccoli and cauliflower and carrot mixed together.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah.
That's right. I'll have my fork at the ready.
Fish out the carrots.
No. Well, just hook out the broccoli so I don't have to eat it. And I know broccoli is good for you. I know I should be eating the broccoli. And so I will have it in a stir fry, but usually only when it's mushed and pummeled to nothing. I just can't stand it, like the texture of it and everything. Like they're tiny trees, and it just I can't do it. I can't.
It was purple sprouting broccoli as well. It wasn't just bog standard green broccoli. It was purple.
Yeah, see, it's not
special.
Just the taste; it's the texture and
anyway,
everything.
Awful. In these times, we should be avoiding food waste.
Yeah, so stop dishing it up to me.
Yeah, I should
stop wasting it.
I should check what's coming in the veg box tomorrow.
Yeah. So in going to work, safety is an issue, but also the actual getting to work, because as of tomorrow they are reducing all the train services.
Oh, right. What, to a Saturday service kind of thing, or just
yeah, they're gonna, as I understand it, and it is different for different lines, but they are going to drastically cut back what's available. They're going to try and keep services going during peak times, so early in the morning and around 5 o'clock, I think. But otherwise they're going to cut it. They're going to cut it right back. And as you know, they've already closed several tube stops. I don't know what the situation is with buses, but we are quite a long way out from the centre of London where we are now.
Yeah.
And catching a bus there would be just agony.
Torturous.
Yeah. I would definitely get motion sickness during that journey. So it's interesting. Work are determined for us to go in. They don't want us to work from home. So they will be supplying a taxi for me to go to work and to come home from work in tomorrow.
Wow.
At some expense. But, you know, that's what's happening. So, you know, an extra hour before the start of work, instead of getting on the train, I'll be getting in a taxi and heading to work. And after my 12-hour shift, I'll be jumping in a taxi and coming home. And hopefully I'm in a healthy environment and the driver's healthy. I think the other day when I had to catch the Uber, I just didn't touch anything. My hands just sat solidly in my lap.
Yeah.
And I just did not touch anything. Yeah. I assume I will observe the same levels of paranoia tomorrow.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Well, you just got to do what you can to stay safe, haven't you? Keep your hands to yourself. Alcohol gel your hands, you know, after you touch the door handles.
Yep, that whole deal. The other thing that I wish I had was a face mask of some kind.
Although I've read that although face masks aren't particularly effective at stopping the bug from getting in, what they're really good at is they stop you touching your face.
Yes.
They remind you to not
touch your face. Although you can transfer it to the mask, I think.
Yeah. So we could make you a mask.
We could. I think the thing that I would like, I'm not just talking about any old huckery mask. I'm talking about having like one of those proper 3M ones that the medical people say are, you know, the bee's knees.
Yeah.
That's the sort of thing.
Ones with a filtered blowhole.
Yeah, that's the one I wish I had. I actually had a Respro mask for running in London and avoiding toxic particulates and things. But I just could not find it. For love of money, I could not. I tore my room apart looking for it and could not find it. So I don't know where that went. But that was a special one for asthmatics. It would be perfect to use now because I sure as shit haven't been using it for running. It's not been happening. Not for some time. Well over a year. But hey, I've only put on 9 kilos. Let's see if I lose them.
Have you weighed yourself today?
No, I haven't. Where are the scales? I couldn't find them.
Well, how did you weigh yourself the first day?
I weighed myself at home before I came here.
Well, you should do it on the same scales because they'll be
I know, but
different.
I've got these really flash digital ones at home, and
so have I.
Oh, well, I didn't.
Mine will record it and work out what your BMI is
and make fun of me.
Blah blah blah. You have to put in how old you are and what your gender is, and it'll tell you what your
too fat
body mass index is. It'll tell you what percentage of your body is fat. It'll send electric pulse through you to measure what's water, what's fat, what's muscle.
I don't need that kind of pressure or body shaming from a device that lives on the floor.
Anyway, it's in the bathroom, but when you asked me the other day how much I weigh, I have no idea because I don't bother with it.
You're also wearing that enormous cast on your leg.
Yeah. Maybe I should weigh myself with whatever the number is, I can blame it on the cast. Although the guys in the plaster room said, because I was complaining about how much it weighed last time, and they said, no, it's not the plaster, it's your leg. And they said, actually, your leg is, a third of your body weight. Yeah. Oh, okay. Just drag it behind me.
Fun fact about your person.
Oh, the other fun facts I learned in the plaster room. I really enjoy my trips to the plaster room. I've been twice. I hope other than getting it cut off, I would never have to go again. But obviously, they have a very, very neat and orderly stock kind of thing. Lots of little drawers that you can vary the size of the drawers, and it's all a rack system on the wall. It looks very smart, and it's all very neatly labelled, and it's all full of stuff when I was in there. And some of the labels are things that you would recognise. You know what it's for. Like it says finger splint or wrist splint. Kind of like, I can work out what that's for. That's fairly straightforward. And then there was something called a mallet splint. So I couldn't live with my curiosity. I said, I can work out what a finger splint is. Draw next to it is a mallet splint. What's that? He said, that's for fingers as well, but that's for where you break the bone and sever the tendons in the tips of your fingers. So, and it basically keeps your finger straight to heal. And I was like, oh, right. I said, why is it called a mallet splint? He said, because that's how people used to make that injury. Hitting their fingers with a mallet. I was like, oh. And the one in the next drawer along was called a Bradford splint, and I didn't get round to finding out what a Bradford injury would be, but it's along the lines of fingers anyway. It was in the same kind of section on the wall as fingers.
Okay.
So if anyone knows, do let us know.
Let you know.
Yeah.
On Twitter.
Yeah, I won't Google it. I'd like someone to tell me a story of what repeated injury took place in Bradford that led to a splint being named after it.
Coccyx.
Huh?
Coccyx.
What about you what?
Coccyx? Am I saying it wrong? Do you call it something different here?
The one at the bottom of your back.
Yeah, tailbone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nothing to do with fingers.
It's just having a rip at people from Bradford. Like, get on the train, Mary. It's leaving the station. Anyway.
I was wondering whether it was something to do with the weaving industry. Bradford, did they do weaving in the Industrial Revolution? But
please,
quite a long time to have a splint name.
Someone put her out of her misery. Just
when I go back and have it cut off, I shall ask.
All right,
give us until the beginning of April.
Oh God,
dear listeners,
you can tweet her at SIHWY, isn't it?
I don't know.
Suey. That's the Twitter address. You wrote it down. You went to great lengths.
SIHWY, yes.
You had to check your notes for that.
Yeah. Well, when I've got to remember what we're eating for the next week that I've got planned out in my head. I don't have room for letters.
You do take these things seriously.
Yeah. Well, there's no point ending up with a whole load of jars of pasta sauce when you haven't got any pasta to have with it.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with the pasta sauce if you don't have pasta?
Again, it's you pulling out your serious face. You pull out your serious face at the funniest times. But speaking of eating, I can update what happened with my dad's food.
Oh yeah.
He was able to pick it up. They couldn't give him everything, and he doesn't know what was replaced because they also didn't give him a list of what there was or wasn't. So
can you not download it and email it to him?
No, because I got the list of what I purchased for him.
Yeah.
But that doesn't include what wasn't there and what was replaced and what wasn't.
Did he not? Can you send it to him and he can check it off and let us know what they weren't able to provide?
That sounds incredibly boring. Anyway, he's got food. That's the main thing. He's got something to have and to eat.
Yes, that's the important
and
thing.
He's happy about that.
Good.
My mother's one, hopefully, will go through on Thursday. That was the window I was able to get for her. So, fingers crossed. See. We will see. At the moment, she's actually staying with my grandfather, and she's really, really concerned about that situation because my grandmother did recently pass away, and my grandfather is blind, and my grandfather does have COPD. And so Mum is incredibly reluctant to leave him there, but at the same time kind of, needs to also go home. She's been up there for several weeks now. But
will he go with her?
No, well, he doesn't want to. He wants to stay there.
I think that's probably just not an option.
Yeah, it's getting really, really awkward. So I don't know what's going to happen. I'm kind of keeping my nose out of it. I don't want any sort of part of that whole situation and all of the difficult decisions that are going to have to be made around that. So Mum's intention is to be home in time for this delivery on Thursday. Whether she is or not, I don't know. But her partner will be there, hopefully, and he can at least receive the goods.
Take it in.
Assuming he's not down on the farm, because he is a farmer and he does very long days down on the farm. So, yeah, it's one of those guys sometimes you need to give a little prod. You got to be here at this time. Yeah. Okay. We'll see. In terms of my own supplies, I was able to make an order on one of the online pharmacy websites this evening, and order some inhalers, some replacement inhalers that I couldn't otherwise get to my GP to get, which is quite good. And
assuming it's legit stuff that turns up.
Well, it's worked before.
Okay.
So high hopes. And surprise for you, I managed to get you some paracetamol.
Oh, wow. Thank you.
So 32 tablets of paracetamol.
Excellent.
Which could well be cancelled and not arrive at all. But I did try.
Yeah, no, it's fine. It's fine. Thank you for trying.
And assuming that doesn't come through, have we made any progress on the wills?
I thought we were going to do it on a future podcast.
Well, actually sit down and run people through doing the wills.
Yeah.
We can't go into too much detail about our wills.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I've never written one, so I don't know what you have to do or say. Isn't it just I leave everything to, and then you say name of a person?
Is that how it works?
I don't know.
What
do you have to do? List your. I'm not going to recite my bank card numbers and passwords to me Facebook account and everything.
Well done.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume it's not just about the financial side of things or possessions. I assume...
I don't give a shit about anything else. I'll be dead.
But I assume it's, how you want to be laid to rest.
Yeah, again, I ain't going to be there.
But you don't care? Like cremation, being buried, being turned into one of those organic mulch things and stuck under a tree?
Yeah, I suppose. Well, I don't know. Whatever has the least environmental impact.
Well, that's getting yourself mulched and put under a tree.
Yeah, okay. That then. I'll do that.
Okay, well, you've got to put that in a will.
Okay.
Otherwise, people won't do that. They just drive fast round a corner and let you slide out the door.
Yeah, I want to be buried at sea. Me and Osama bin Laden are going to go swimming together.
Dark, man. You go to such dark places.
He was the only other person I know that's been buried at sea. Hey, do you know anyone that's been buried at sea?
No. One of my grandparents, when they were cremated, we went and threw her ashes off her favourite fishing spot. So the rocks next to the sea
nice.
Where she used to go fishing.
Did you empty her out of her urn, or did you throw the urn?
No, we took handfuls and
Okay.
It's what she wanted, I think.
Yeah, nice.
I was pretty young at that point, so
well, sweet then.
Hard to remember, but no, that's a different grandparent, and you go to such dark places. I
meant when you were young.
When I was young, was not last week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I turned 40 this year. Not to give too much away, but I turned 40 this year. 40. Well, you just turned 40.
I did. And see how much impact it's had on my life. I couldn't wait to turn 40 because being 39 was so fucking shit with my broken leg. And 3 months later, I've broken my fucking leg again.
So they're kind of on par, aren't they?
Yeah.
39 and 40?
No, I think so far 40's been worse.
Really?
Yeah. Well, there have been a number of people that I've lost in the last few weeks and months. So, yeah, it's been pretty shitty. And then COVID, of course, top of everything else.
Yeah, well, we haven't caught it yet.
No.
But maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
Are you concerned at all with me going into work that
you going to work is fine. It's you coming home from work.
That's what I'm saying. You know, if I go into work and I catch it and bring it back here, like, are you concerned about that scenario?
I don't think you'll catch it. I think I'm more concerned that it'll come in with you on your clothes or your bag or whatever. But we have a dog gate just after the front door, and I'm not letting you beyond the dog gate, and I'm not going to go through the dog gate the other way. So you'll have to strip, and then I'll chase you up to the bathrooms and throw you in the shower, so that you are washed head to foot with soapy soap, so that you don't bring the bug in, and then everything you've been wearing is going to go straight in the washing machine.
Were you only planning to tell me about this plan tomorrow?
No, I plan to tell you about it on the podcast, because all day you keep saying to me, don't talk about it now, talk about it on the podcast.
That is not how I talk.
But it is what you say. So there you go.
I just don't want us to kill each other too soon.
Yeah, well,
I think
you won't kill me through COVID by stripping at the front door. I will let you shut the front door, obviously. Yeah, I don't want to scare the neighbours, but stripping everything, wiping down the stuff that can't be put in the washing machine, and you jumping straight in the shower is how we're going to get through this. Because
I'm going to be quite exhausted when I get home.
Yeah.
You know, I would have had an extremely long day.
Yeah. You have got a week off to recover.
Yeah. Well, it's going to take some reminding when I come in the door.
Yeah.
That I'm supposed to go through this scenario, because otherwise I'm just going to zombie in.
I've got a big plastic sheet. You won't be able to...
You're going to put up in the doorway.
Yeah.
Like
not
E.T.
in the doorway. Yeah, very much like E.T. But in front of the dog gate. So you can't,
So I cannot pass.
Yeah.
Into the zone of the rest of the house.
It's the safe zone, yeah.
Okay.
Be a bit like, if there'd been a nuclear bomb. Have, one in, one out, kind of. An airlock, that's what I'm thinking of. An airlock in the hallway.
So we're going to put together a makeshift airlock.
Yep.
In the entrance to the house.
Yep.
Where I will be stripped.
You don't sound so happy about it.
I'm not happy about it. I'm trying to imagine this scenario and try to remember if you've ordered a cattle prod off Amazon. So
I've got my grabber.
So
the thing I was using to throw the ball before.
That was quite funny.
A metre long stick with a handle at one end and a trigger at the other. Yeah.
The claw.
Yeah.
Yes, that was quite hilarious. You were so insistent that you not go outside that you were poking the claw out the door and grabbing the dog's ball and really haphazardly throwing it for a very excited dog.
Yeah.
Throws that would go, I don't know, 1-2 meters.
Yeah, but the garden's not that big according to you.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
But it was quite hilarious. And the
dog enjoyed it.
Well, the dog did enjoy it. And hats off to the dog, which had never played that game before. It kept bringing the ball back and dropping it where you could
it's played before.
Get it. No, but not to get it with the claw.
Yeah.
Drop it where you could pick it up with the claw and then throw the ball. So tomorrow I'm going to walk in the door. I will have had quite a long day by that point.
Yep.
I will be shambling in, zombie style.
Yep.
And then I will be reminded by the plastic tent that's set up in the doorway that I need to strip and then get straight in the shower without touching anything. Is this the plan?
No, because right next to the front door is the downstairs loo.
The downstairs loo, which serves no other purpose.
Come in, wash your hands, take all your stuff off, put your clothes in the laundry basket, which will be waiting by the front door for you.
But what about my jacket? I'll be wearing a big jacket over the top of my clothes.
Yeah. Well, that can hang it. You have to hang it on the knobs on the front of the shoe rack, so your coat can hang up. Because it only lives on fabric for 6 to 8 hours, doesn't it? As long as I don't touch your coat and you don't touch your coat after you've come in and washed your hands, then that's it. It's the end of the chain, isn't it?
You really are describing the most English of houses, though, aren't you? The downstairs toilet and the shoe rack the knobs on the shoe rack. Hang your jacket on the knobs on the shoe rack by the downstairs toilet.
If you helped me move the shoe thing, cupboard, holder, receptacle, whatever you want to call it, upstairs, because I can't do it on my own because I've got a broken leg.
Where's it going to go? There's nowhere in here.
It's going to go there.
We are...
Right behind you.
I hope you guys probably can't imagine how we're recording this, but we are in a room full of trash. That is the allocated space that we've been given,
which is full of boxes
by you to record this. It is a room of trash.
Yeah, most of it's yours, though.
There is nowhere for your ridiculous shoe rack cupboard drawer thing that you bought to go in here.
I did buy it before I moved into this house.
For what purpose?
To put shoes in.
It's
full of shoes.
It is just the most absurd thing.
Yeah.
And do you ever wear any of these shoes?
Not since I broke my leg. No.
Yes, but did you wear any of them up until you broke your leg?
Oh yeah. That's why I had a shoe rack. So that, I had more than one pair of shoes. I had a choice of pairs of shoes. Since I've broken my leg, I've worn 3 pairs of shoes. I've worn my Crocs. I've worn my Allbirds trainers during the summer, and I've worn my Allbirds boots during the winter. That is it. Those are the only 3 pairs of shoes that I've worn. Actually, no, that's not true. 4th pair of shoes, I've got a pair of ankle-high wellies, black wellies. So I wore those when I went camping and to a funeral.
You wore wellies to a funeral?
Yeah. They are black, though. I don't think anyone noticed. I did have my leg in a cast at the time.
Aren't one of your pairs of Allbirds black? You couldn't have worn those?
I can't. They come up too high.
Oh, so you can't wear them while your leg's in plaster?
No, they come up over my ankle, and my plaster goes to my ankle, which means I wouldn't be able to bend my ankle.
I understand.
Whereas the wellies are a little bit lower and a bit more flexible, so I can wriggle my ankle.
Allbirds are quite good, though.
They are. Top shoes.
We've done quite a lot of products, plugging products left, right and centre while we've been recording this. We've been telling everyone how it is.
Speaking of reviews, I thought of another film I watched the other day when I watched the old original version of it. Yesterday I watched the new Tomb Raider. The remake of Tomb Raider.
The remake of the remake of Tomb Raider?
No, the remake of Tomb Raider.
How many different Tomb Raiders have there been?
2.
Okay.
There's the original one with that bird that was married to Brad Pitt for a while.
Sure.
That's the original one, I think. Anyway. And then there's a remake, and I don't know the name of the girl that was in that. So I can review those 2 movies, the original and the newer one.
You watched both of them?
Over 2 days, yeah.
Okay. Well, this is your big chance.
So, I liked the... I like the actress that was in the new one. I thought she was very good. I think she was a bit younger than I thought Lara Croft would be. Saying that, I've never played the bloody game, so I don't know. I'm just basing it on what I think should happen. It was definitely a modern kind of twist on it. So it had been brought right up to date, and cycle careers and all sorts of shenanigans going on that made it much more timely.
They do like shenanigans in movies.
Yeah. But saying that, I think the original one stuck more closely to the game. Not that I've played the game, but I can vaguely remember.
How can you?
So there's that classic bit in the game, isn't there, where the lead character Lara Croft has got 2 pistols, one on each thigh.
I know that my total accumulated knowledge of Tomb Raider is that there's boobs in it.
Yeah.
I don't know anything else.
Yeah. Well, in the game and the original movie, there's lots of boob, an excess of boob, but there's also 2 guns, one on each thigh. And that's consistent between the game and the original movie. The remake of the movie, there are both less boobs, and there are no guns.
Okay. So less boobs, no guns in the remake.
Yep.
And more boobs, 2 guns in the original.
Yeah.
And you prefer the remake?
I think I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
as a movie, yeah. I thought it was more. I could kind of see the things that happened in it happen. You know, it seemed like it could be real, like real life, even though it's Tomb Raider. Whereas the original one was all very fanciful. It was like, you know, the opening bit is she's having a fight with a robot, and the robot nearly kills her. It's kind of like, robotics is nowhere near that. It's like, that's never going to happen. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, you need to rate both of these movies out of 10, so what's it going to be?
So, I think they were both better than that Host thing that you made me watch. I would go original Tomb Raider 4, and the remake 6.5.
Wow. So, of those two films, would you suggest anybody watch either of them?
I'd suggest people watch both of them and compare the two.
Okay. Well, time to kill.
Not with any teenage boys, because it would just be embarrassing.
For who?
Mums and dads, and the teenage boys.
It's your serious face. It's back.
Yeah.
I don't know what's playing out in your head, but it all seems very, very serious. I finally finished watching Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Yeah.
What are you going to give that out of 10?
Well, it's the second time I've watched it in what month are we in? Second time I've watched it in 3 months. So it didn't really hold my attention. But it is a good film. It's a good classic, solid film. You know, it's aged well. If you're thinking of putting a movie on for the kids, I'd stick that on there.
Is Raiders of the Lost Ark a movie for children?
Yeah, I think it's a PG, isn't it?
Screaming, melting skulls for kids.
Yeah.
Quite horrific imagery in Raiders of the Lost Ark. People literally melting and their eyeballs falling out.
Yeah, I know, but you know.
Guy getting chewed up by a propeller blade from a plane.
I don't think it's any worse than Spider-Man. Spider-Man got a PG, didn't it? Or PG-12 or whatever it was.
Okay.
So but anyway, I don't know. I would need to fact check what rating it is, but I would say it's a good film.
So out of 10?
7.
Yeah. Okay. It's a total recommendation. And you were watching some crazy zombie movie as well. Some sort of first-person zombie movie. What was that?
Oh, yeah. Can't remember what it was called. It's either Pandemic, I think it's called.
Pandemic. Okay. What platform was that on?
I think it's an Amazon Prime.
Okay.
Possibly a Netflix. I don't know. I've seen it before, so it didn't really hold my attention.
But it was like Peep Show, where it was all shot from the angle of the person.
Never seen Peep Show, so wouldn't know.
Yeah. Really?
Yeah.
Never seen Peep Show?
No.
Well, you actually can start work on catching up on that tomorrow while I'm at work.
No, do you know what I'm going to do tomorrow?
What?
I'm going to finish doing the meal plan that I haven't finished doing yet, and I'm going to write some letters.
I'm going to come home to some sort of massive chart on the wall, aren't I?
Possibly.
Some sort of huge...
No, I'm not going to put it on the wall.
Some
I'm
huge
going to go in my
chart
kitchen diary
with lots of different coloured felts. I can see it now. You're grinning ear to ear. You're so excited about using all these different coloured felt pens. Okay, so this movie Pandemic, really crazy first-person style zombie movie.
I will double check because actually it is a good film. It's a stereotypical zombie apocalypse thing. You know, people trying to survive in the aftermath. But it's not really described as being a zombie thing. It's described as there's been a virus, and the virus has various stages. And if you can get a shot while you're in stage 1, then you can survive. But stage 2 is kind of... So stage 1 is like flu-like symptoms, much like COVID. Stage 2 is... I'm trying to remember. I think maybe I can't remember. But there's a stage where stage 3 is where you fall asleep, and stage 4 is where you basically wake up and you're really aggressive, and stage 5 is full on zombie.
Right. There was one scene.
Stage 2 was.
Well, I was kind of walking in and out while you were watching that, so I only saw bits and pieces of it.
Yeah.
I thought it was quite clever having it from all the first-person angles, like Peep Show. I thought that was great.
Yeah. So the premise is that it's all footage that's been shot by. So the army are going out trying to rescue people, and they're all wearing body cameras, and it's all shot from the body cameras.
Do you want to tell people what you're doing right now?
I'm trying to scratch inside my cast.
And how are you trying to do that?
By putting my hand inside it.
If you don't do that, they say don't do that because you'll never
lose it.
Yeah, you never get it back.
Well, I'm not letting go of it.
Also, that's my pen. Please don't put that down there.
I need my knitting needles.
God. But there was one scene that I walked in on while you were watching that film, and it was absolutely horrific. And it was someone.
Yeah, this isn't one for the kids.
It was someone beating. Like there was a guy lying on the ground, and he was still pretty alive and pretty normal. I thought
he'd just eaten her friend.
Okay.
As in dragged a woman out of a car, slit her from navel to throat, and started eating her insides while she was still alive. So I'm not really sure that that's what I would call normal.
But he was like begging with the person and being like, "Hey, I'm just a guy."
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then she beat him to death with the butt of her rifle.
Yeah.
And
she didn't have any bullets left.
And they showed the whole thing, first person, of this guy getting his face smashed in, and it was gruesome. Yeah. It was really, really, really confronting. That was horrible.
It's a vision of the future. That's what the UK will be like in 4 weeks' time.
In 4 weeks' time, Tuesday. Tuesday. That was a hard watch. So, what did you give that movie out of 10?
Oh, that one's a good 8.
An 8?
Yeah, it's good.
I didn't think it was that good.
It's an interesting story. It's believable.
Okay.
Although it's being a zombie apocalypse is an unbelievable story. It's people are reacting how they genuinely would in real life.
I think we should point out at this juncture that you particularly like zombie movies.
Yeah. I do quite like zombie movies.
So
and TV series. I'm a big fan of The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead. Actually, I was thinking the other day we should watch Fear the Walking Dead because that tracks the zombie outbreak right from the get-go, whereas Walking Dead starts like 6 weeks in after Rick Grimes wakes up from his coma. Actually, Fear the Walking Dead shows you what the descent into hideousness is like, and that's likely what we're going to be going through. Okay. Because COVID isn't really COVID, it's a zombie outbreak.
That's your theory. It's a working theory. We can still watch Peep Show, though. I think it's quite important that we watch Peep Show.
Yeah, I have no idea what Peep Show is or is about, or other than it's shot in the first person.
Do you know? But you know who Mitchell and Webb are?
Yeah.
Right. So
he's married to Victoria. See,
these are the sorts of things that you care about. She plays cards.
She plays poker.
She's a very intelligent woman.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Mitchell and Webb, they star in Peep Show.
Yeah, I know who Mitchell is. I don't know who Webb is.
So that's such a burn because I know that you and I have watched Mitchell and Webb, like their actual sketch show. We have watched Mitchell and Webb together. We have done that.
Have we?
Yes, we have done that.
Okay.
So for you to say you know who Mitchell is but don't know who Webb is, that is a deep burn. And let's hope he never finds this podcast.
Sorry,
and
Webb.
never reaches such a low point that he should think that he should listen to it and then get burned by you 54 minutes into episode 3. So I don't know if your review of Pandemic with an 8 is really a fair assessment. I don't think that's an even assessment given how much you love zombies. I think it's closer to a 6. But would you recommend this is one for the kids?
Not one for the kids.
Not
no.
one for the kids.
But it is. I think it is. It's well done. It's different. It's not your stereotypical people hide out in a farmhouse kind of zombie movie. It's different.
Speaking of different, we just changed tack. I just got a text from my dad.
Yeah.
It says Australia has just announced the closure of all pubs. So they've jumped before New Zealand have.
Well, they shut Bondi Beach yesterday, didn't they?
Well, they had to because everyone just went there.
Yeah.
Everyone just went to the beach. And I can understand that coming from New Zealand, like New Zealand and Australia, you want to be outside, be really social. Yeah. There is a real she'll be right attitude.
Yeah.
And so, you know, people are just like, okay, I don't have to go to work.
Yeah, party.
That's basically the attitude. Whereas here in England, you know, you guys have that problem now with all the people going to the countryside and going to the islands.
Yeah, to hide.
Yeah, to, you know,
bug out.
In Scotland and Cornwall and all these other places.
Devon, yeah.
But that's exactly the wrong thing to do. Like, because all you're doing is sticking yourself in your van or your caravan or whatever you've got. You could potentially have the virus, and then you're taking it to these faraway communities, which would be under tremendous pressure because they don't have the same sort of resources or infrastructure around food or medicine or doctors or the NHS or any of these other things. Like, it's an incredibly selfish thing to do, to bung yourself into one of these camper vans and bugger off into the wilderness, like thinking you're doing the right thing. Because all of these places, all of these faraway places are being completely overrun by assholes. So if you are thinking like this is your awesome plan, that you're going to jump in the camper and head for the country, please don't do that.
No.
Just stay home. Stay home. Like we are. And slowly lose your marbles in a really sad way. It's interesting. I am keeping track of all of the movies that you've watched so far. And there's quite a few.
Yeah. Well, I'm already watching them. They're just on in the background while I knit or
potter about.
Yeah.
Yes. You're going to
particularly the ones that I've seen before. You know, it's just background noise. I do have the radio on quite a bit as well. Caught up on the Archers today. Archers Omnibus.
Yeah. What are people going to do without new episodes of the Archers?
I don't know that they're stopping recording it.
We should point out what the Archers is. A lot of people around the world wouldn't know what the Archers is. But essentially, in the UK, they still have radio plays. So there's still quite a lot of radio comedy and radio drama.
Yeah.
And the Archers is incredibly long running.
Yeah, it's a serial. Been going for, I think it started in the 1930s.
Yeah. So if you think about Coronation Street or EastEnders or whatever else, but on the radio.
Yeah, and all set in a farming community.
So, Emmerdale.
No, it's not. Well, yeah, I don't know because I've never seen Emmerdale. But, yeah, that kind of thing. But it's set in the West Country rather than up north.
Ah. Good.
Is it Dorsetshire or something?
Dorsetshire. Dorset's on the south coast.
Yeah. Borsetshire, I think is what they call it.
Okay. A made-up place?
Yeah, it's all made up. Yeah,
okay. Well, I think that's the end of day 3. Tune in tomorrow for a review of day 4, which will be interesting because we won't have spent it together.
No.
I will have spent the day at work and you will have spent the day here in quarantine.
Yeah.
And I will be coming in very zombie-like fashion.
And getting stripped.
Beaten
with hoses.
Shaved and showered. And then, hopefully we have the energy to sit down and talk about it.
Yeah.
I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah.
Okay.
What have you got stuck on the back of your notebook?
What do you mean? I don't know what this is. It's addressed to you. It says the joy of giving 300 points worth £3 when you spend £20 in the garden centre.
It looks very Christmassy. Has that been hanging around for a while?
I have no idea. Yeah, it's got pictures of like Christmas cookies with strings through them on the back.
What's the expiry date on the voucher?
You don't need this. You don't need this voucher. All it's offering you is 300 points. You guys are obsessed with points. Pointless points. Offer valid till the 31st of the 12th, 2019. You can move on with your life.
Yeah. Well, you had it stuck to your notebook.
I didn't mean to. It's not like I was keeping it for later. I do have other things to do with my life.